Spanish channel or English channel? Please, somebody let me know. Look, I need to be more responsible, and I just go and fucking live. What channel is this? Um, Let me check right now. So I'm gonna tell you guys about my ayahuasca story, but first, let me make sure it is the right channel. Um, but I'm gonna start, and if it's the wrong channel, I'll just end it and go to the other one. So, so for those who don't know, I actually went to Colombia and did ayahuasca many moons ago, right? And the primary reason why I went to Colombia, oh my goodness in heaven. Um, the primary reason why, what channel is this? Catherine, is this the English one or the Spanish one? Um, so essentially the primary reason why I went to Colombia was to try ayahuasca, you know? I did ayahuasca in okay, let me give you guys a backstory. So essentially, the reason why I did ayahuasca was because at the time I was smoking way too much weed, man. I was smoking way too much weed. Like it was fucking crazy, and it was like during the summertime. And during the summertime, I'll be honest with you. During the summertime, I was a little depressed. I was deeply depressed, and it wasn't like I was gonna kill myself depressed, but I was depressed, right? And I didn't know how to channel those emotions, and I was practicing mindfulness, of course, but the incongruence you experience with when you're trying to stop smoking weed is very difficult because you sort of don't want to smoke, but you do, you know? And so I was like, you know what? I tried everything. And the reason why I do what I do today is because of weed. You know, because if it wasn't for me trying to stop smoking weed, I wouldn't learn about mindfulness. I wouldn't learn about different tactics to control your emotions. It all started because of that. I would have not made a random video 6 years ago to remind myself, and that random video went viral. I would have not done this because I would not made that video. So it was actually one of the catalysts, you know. So essentially, so I've been doing a lot of research, and I was like, you know what? I was thinking of going to like a yoga retreat, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go to Colombia and do ayahuasca, right? But before I went to Colombia, I decided to experiment on my own and make my own ayahuasca, right? So I did a lot of research, and I found out how to make ayahuasca easily, you know, on my own, and tried on my own. I made it in the form of capsules. Yeah, it's very easy to make ayahuasca. Fucking easy. It's easy as shit if you know how to do it. So I'm gonna tell you guys a story. So I made the ayahuasca, right? And I did it at the time when I was doing a lot of psychedelics. I was doing a lot of shrooms, a lot of acid, and so I was like, all right, let me try it out. So it was like early September of last year, and I began and I took the dose, right? And when I took the dose, this kind of dose doesn't make you throw up. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make you throw up. So when I took the dose, suddenly after like 30 minutes, right? After 30 minutes, I was like, after 30 minutes, I started feeling my body started tingling, you know? And I was like, holy shit, this shit is turning on. And I was in my room in Manhattan, and there was no one home, right? And so suddenly I felt the urge to lay on my bed with my stomach facing the bed, you know? And the reason why, because when I laid myself on the bed, it felt like an automobile shop. And you know how they raise the cars up so that the mechanics could go under it and fix it? It felt like I was placed, somebody told me to put my body like that so that those beams could go inside me and fix the things inside of me, you know? And I was like, okay, let me do that. And suddenly, I've noticed myself in a different dimension. I felt I was somewhere else. It wasn't like I saw it, but I felt it. It's almost like if you close your eyes, you know where you are. You know what I'm saying? Like if you close your eyes, you know where you are. Like nobody, like you know you are in your room. You don't need to see it. It felt like that. Like I didn't see where I was, but I knew I was there. I knew I was in a different plane. And suddenly, the beings got pissed off because they were like, who the fuck is this? They were like, who the fuck is this dude here? No, he didn't give us a warning that he was coming. Apparently, before you do ayahuasca, it's always good to fast and to eat like a vegetarian kind of diet. Apparently, that's like a way to signal to the ayahuasca spirits that you're coming. I didn't know that because I thought I was like some hippie shit. You know what I'm saying? And so they were like, who the fuck is this intruder? And I was like, holy shit, I fucked up. They're gonna fuck me over. And suddenly I was like, I'm sorry guys, I didn't mean to offend you guys. And they were pissed off. It felt like a forest, and it felt like they were around a fire or something like that. Yeah, it felt like an intruder. And then suddenly everything faded away and my main guy came, like my main ayahuasca guide. Like it was like the guy, like the main guy that was following me. He came and he was like, what are you doing here? He was like, I'm paraphrasing him. He was like, why are you here? Why are you, you didn't give us a warning, you know? And I was scared. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Ayahuasca. I called him Mr. Ayahuasca because I was scared. And then when I called him Mr. Ayahuasca, I saw a light shine, like a big bright light shine. And it felt like that light represented that he was smiling and that he actually found that hilarious that I called him Mr. Ayahuasca. Like he found it adorable. And that's the first thing that caught my mind. I'm like, this motherfucker has a personality. Like he really has his taste, his likes and dislikes, things that you do that would offend them, and things that you do that would not offend them, things that you do that will make him laugh. Like literal personality, almost like he has serotonin in his head, and with dopamine, and certain things make him laugh, and certain things make him angry. You know what I'm saying? So suddenly, when we got in good terms, that's when the journey began. And mind you, that's like the first trip I took on my own. And the way that I could describe the trip, it was like telepathic, like telepathy. It wasn't a lot of visual, but motherfuckers were talking to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I was having a deep conversation with this being. And then suddenly there were times when Mr. Ayahuasca would prove himself to me. For example, there was a moment during the trip where he was like, you know what? I'm gonna show you my powers, and I'm gonna show you that I exist. And I was like, dude, okay, I get it, you exist. But he's like, I'm gonna show you. And I was like, all right. He was like, watch, you're not gonna be able to think. And suddenly I wasn't able to formulate a thought. And then he was like, now you're able to think. Boom, I'm able to think now. And then he was like, watch, you won't be able to think again. Boom, I couldn't fucking create a thought. And then suddenly he was like, now you can think. Boom, and then I was able to think. And I was like, dude, this is fucking crazy. Literally, I couldn't make a thought when he said I couldn't. But the thing is that I couldn't make a thought, but I heard him. You know what I'm saying? It was like another voice in my head, a very clear fucking voice. So then suddenly during the trip, after like 2 hours of talking to Mr. Ayahuasca, the weed spirit came out of nowhere. And the weed spirit could be described like a big juggly dude, a big fat dude that's happy and green. And when he walks around, you see the fat moving and shit, you know? And he was like, hey, I heard you have a problem here, some shit like that. That's how he talked. And I don't know what happened, but he was like, it's like he was called upon and he left. Suddenly, during the trip, I started hearing like signals. You know, for example, when you're trying to tune into a channel, right? And you sort of hear like the static noise, like that. But in this case, it wasn't static noise. It was like little noises coming out of a radio, like. It felt like. It sounds crazy. It felt like they were somewhere else placed, you know, and that they were sending signal through a big. Sounds crazy. They were sending signals through a central ship, like they were real beings. It's fucking phenomenal. Anyways, so suddenly at the end, and this is the most fascinating thing, is that if you ever take psychedelics, you notice that when the trip is ending, it ends gradually. You know what I'm saying? Like it ends gradually. This one, I went from tripping and having a deep conversation with Mr. Ayahuasca to boom, that's it, no more. And it was like instant. And I was like, okay, can I replicate it on my own? I tried to do the voice of Mr. Ayahuasca. I couldn't do it. Go. Shit. Sorry, man.
All right, buddy. You okay though, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I couldn't replicate his voice. And that's what showed me that in reality what happened was real. Anyway, so I went to Colombia, right? That's the next one. I went to Colombia. And where we went to the jungles. We went in Antioquia, and it wasn't the jungles, but it was more like the suburbs, the deep suburbs. They had trees and all that shit there, right? And not to make the long story short, I went there and they were like, what are you there for? And I was like, I'm here just to chill out. And I was like, I'm here to stop smoking weed. And they all looked at me, they're like, okay, whatever. So in a ceremony, the way they do it is that, these motherfuckers are so dedicated to their craft. The way they do it is that you have like a group of like 10 shamans, and before they give you the ayahuasca at night, you have like a ceremony, like a church service, literally like a church service. And in that service, you literally sing, you literally do everything about that. Everything that you can think of, like in church, you do it there, right? So, to go on to the trip, so we took it, right? The first night, insane, right? The second night, insane. But the third night, but the second night was when things really went down. Because somebody told the main shaman that I was there to stop smoking weed, right? And if you guys ever been to a Catholic church, you know that at the end of the mass, you created a line so that you can get whatever the hell that is, the little white stuff and the wine, right? The communion. And it's very similar where you wait in line, but rather than communion, you get the ayahuasca, right? So I went there, and right before it was my turn, somebody whispered to the shaman, and the shaman was a big shaman dude with some shit in his head. And they whispered to him, and he looked at me. He was like, okay. So he called over a mini shaman guy, another shaman dude, right? And he brought over like a horn, like a bullhorn, right? And he had a little knife, and he scribbled some like bull horn dust over my drink, some shit, right? And he was like, take this, it'll be strong. And I was like, okay, all right, right? So I took it, and I went back to my hut, right? And I was laying down, and I was like, holy shit. That's when shit started hitting me, man. Like, I started feeling my body get sicker and sicker. And it became to a point where I was throwing up for 40 minutes straight. I didn't even know that was possible. Not even the shamans knew that was possible. It got to the point where the shamans, like, there were 3 shamans surrounding me because they were scared. I was scared shitless. And I was like, don't leave me. And I was grabbing onto the shaman's leg. And the thing that the shamans do, which is kind of fucking gangster as shit. First of all, they take ayahuasca with you. Second of all, they don't do shit. For example, if you're scared shitless, they just stand there and look at you with a dead face, just looking at you and shit. They only help you when you're fucking throwing up or when you need some help. But if you're scared and panicking, they're there for you. But they don't help you, but they're there. So they sort of allow you to feel fear without them really catering you. So you feel the intense fear, but you know you're gonna be okay. So I was there, and suddenly throughout the trip, I started hearing the spirits. They were like, we know what you're trying to do. We know what you're trying to do. You're trying to escape. You can't escape. We know what you're trying to do. And I was like, fuck this shit. Fuck that shaman, that asshole, for giving me that strong dose. I'm gonna fuck him up. I was really pissed off. And the spirits were like, we know what you're trying to do. You can't escape. And then suddenly, I started noticing myself, like, traveling through time. Like, I started seeing like the whole environment, like it was like in the Mayan times. Like, it looked like, I started seeing like hieroglyphics. I started seeing like the faces of the shamans. It looked like they were painted in black, like almost like Mayan warriors. And they looked like Mayan warriors. They looked 10 feet fucking tall. They were tall as shit, man. And so they were like, they felt tall. And so, anyways, I'm reading the comments. Let me just keep talking. So, yeah, they looked very Taino. They looked Taino as hell, right? And so, as I started, like, when I started feeling time go backward, everything just stopped, right? And then suddenly I started feeling time go forward. And when time started, this is a fucking crazy part. And this part is the part that really changed me in every sense of the word. When I started going through time, I started feeling my body become more shriveled. I started noticing becoming a 40-year-old man, a 50-year-old man, and a 60-year-old man. And I really felt my body feeling that. Like, you felt the changes in the body. Like, I literally became skinnier in my mind and more shriveled. I started shriveling. And then suddenly I became an 80-year-old man. And there was a point where I became an 80-year-old man where, as an old man, right when you're about to die, you're at the edges of eternity. There's no such thing as a future for you. At the moment when you're about to die, there's no such thing as future for you. And then suddenly, I saw that everything in my life, a lot of the things that I worried about was meaningless. Because when you're about to die, all of your memories, they feel heavy when you're alive because you're experiencing life. But when you don't have any more time left because you're about to die, you start noticing how weightless time really is, how weightless all of your experiences really were. And I started noticing how many shitty things I cared about that really shouldn't be cared about, like unnecessary attachments, right? And the way that changed me was because now when I look at older people, I don't look at people who were always old. I look at people who were babies who became old, like the progress, right? You don't because before when I was younger, I used to think older people were always old. So now when I see older people, I see myself in them. I see the natural transition, and it is a little depressing that I see things that way now, but it makes me want to do more for the simple fact that I'm not living under the illusion of unlimited time. I understand the limited nature of our existence. I feel that limitedness, and it's to the point where sometimes I walk around and it's almost like I miss my youth. It's almost like I miss being young, but then I realize I am young, and it makes me not appreciate it more, but just to not hold on to it more. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I appreciate being young. It's that I don't hold on to it because I know the inevitable. So then after that, so now when I look at older people, man, I now do a lot of work because of that. So anyways, so then I started, then there was another point where I had a couple of visions, and one of the biggest ones was of me being a baby bird. I saw myself like as a little bird, and in a nest, like a little bird that just woke up and shit, that just hatched. And I saw my mama bird, right? And she was looking around and shit, looking for fucking prey, just looking around, right? And from the perspective of the baby bird, that bird who looks meaningless to everyone else, that bird was everything that I had. That bird was my life. Like for example, you think that animal is meaningless, right? You think that animal is just a bird. No, to another being, to another sentient being, that bird is everything they have. That bird is their whole world. Almost like your whole world is your whole world. You know what I'm saying? So I started seeing that bird, and I saw it from a different perspective because that bird had, how birds have that psycho look? They just like look around and shit, like they look like they're just gonna kill you, right? That look didn't mean psychoness to me. That look had a look of care to me. Like it looked like it cared for me. And then I started thinking of myself as that baby bird. For example, I started thinking of myself as a baby bird. I started thinking of the human self, like my human version. And I started noticing how much of an asshole that human is. Because sometimes I have a tendency to watch animals die on YouTube, like just Discovery Channel. And I hate baby birds for some reason. And my bird self was like, that asshole, fuck you, asshole. Like I was hating, I was like, fuck you for wanting me dead. And what that taught me was that how conscious things are, like if you put everyone in a box, like a big box, and all the humans in a big box, we're all gonna look like rats, part of a whole big organism. We're not gonna look like we're not gonna be the individuals we are. We're gonna look like we're gonna look like rats, just like part of a big organism. Like one doesn't matter. You can kill 10 and it's not gonna kill the whole structure. And so that's who we are as humans. We're not that special. We're not that special. We are just beings who have a cerebral cortex and who can reflect upon ourselves back to ourselves. But at the end of the day, we're made out of flesh. We're walking fungi. We're walking fungi. Fungi, taking oxygen and take out carbon dioxide just like animals do, just like mammals do, and every other animal, I guess. And the only difference is that fucking fungi, they don't move and stuff like that, but they definitely grow. They definitely have similar. I think they have a similar nervous system, something like that. I don't know. I have to do research on that. But nevertheless, though, it was a powerful experience because it did two things. A, it connected me to time. Again, I have a more realistic. It's like I'm not in that illusion of time no more. I don't think that I'm always going to be young. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because of circumstance that I think that I'm always going to be young, but because of just that realization. And also the connection to our environment, looking at animals and realizing that they're not just animals who are not sentient and aware. They are as sentient and as conscious as I am, they just have different faculties. If the animal had a cerebral cortex, they would be able to express themselves how we express ourselves too. You know, they just don't have a cerebral cortex, a prefrontal cortex, that's the thing, right? And so then they're not able to use language. And so we value language as a form of intelligence. No, consciousness has different forms and different ways of expressing itself. It's not limited to the human experience. It has a broader stroke, not even a broader stroke, a multi-dimensional stroke. You don't know how consciousness expresses itself in different dimensions, under different laws of physics. It's just insane, man. Anyways, I hope that was fun. You know, that's my ayahuasca trip. It was definitely fun. It was definitely a trip, no pun intended. I definitely recommend it. I did it in Colombia. I know people there. I know I know a good group of people. Like, they're very good. Like that. Honest to God, the best thing about the ayahuasca were the fucking shamans, man. Those people bring goosebumps to me because they were so dedicated to their craft. I never seen anything like that in my life. Never seen like a group of people be so dedicated to something so banal to the normal person. You know what I'm saying? All right. So if you want, I'm gonna leave the link on how to make ayahuasca on your own. I'm gonna put a link there that shows you guys how to make ayahuasca on your own, and and be safe, man. Don't trip too much. Anyways, yeah, you can get it in the USA. This is all you need. You need that kasha root, and you need some bullshit, which I'm gonna put in the link below. All right. Anyways, I gotta go, man. Take care.